Okay. We have returned from a closed meeting. It is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. It is 6:34 p.m. And we are we're opening our work meeting for the Virgin Town Council, and we are going to be discussing the budget, and if time permits, we will also look at stuff that I have on the agenda for the town council meeting next week. It depends on how long this budget discussion takes. So Candace has prepared, I'll turn it on. Candace has prepared a PowerPoint presentation to show us about the budget. And I was planning on us moving our chairs to the other side of the table so that we can see without breaking our necks. I have to sit on the other side, so I'm gonna sit on the other side. If you guys want to, you can too. Okay, I guess.
Sweet. So, this is educational as well as it has your data, and so, it kind of takes a very holistic approach to where your revenues come from, and then, kind of how it's been historically and what our current budget is, and then kind of what our projected budget looks like for 25. So we'll just go to the next page. You can go 2 pages, actually, I think, because the next one's just another pretty much. So we have, as a town, in 24, our budget was 2.7 million. And I'm gonna use round numbers because that makes for easier talking. So the full number will be up there, but all around. So 2.7 million is our full budget. I like graphs because it helps us visualize. So our water budget is a little over, half of our budget in this particular scenario. Our impacts is that little slice, and then our general fund is the dark orange. So we're gonna kind of break this down, and what we focus on the most is the general fund budget, because that's where our property tax and sales tax comes into, and that's where the majority of our operating expenses are paid out of. Our water fund does have operating expenses as well. However, it should be more transactional, right? It's not ebbs and flows, and there's less fluctuation as far as we know what our billings are, and we have a plan for that department. So next slide. So if we look at our general fund, so our general fund, out of that full 2 million, the general fund is 1.1. And these are the different departments that we break our budget up into. So we have debt service, which is on this building here. We have our streets, and these are streets when we've talked to repairs. So potholes, chip and seal, the wages that go into your public works people, things like that. Public safety, so that's our contract with the county. Parks, culture and rec, which is our events, and things like that, and then our administration.
What's that little one that is such a sliver, and it says, I think 0. What is that? It's underneath public safety is coming right up. Oh, if it's a PDF, you're not, it's not like yours.
Cemetery, so it's teeny tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's cemetery. I have a PowerPoint in front of me, so I got to it.
Okay.
Questions on that? So we go to the next slide. So here's how we get our money. So we have our taxes, which makes up 45% of our budget. Our charges for services are our trash, so that's really just a pass-through. We don't make money on those types of things. Our intergovernmental rental revenue is our grants that we've received, and also like our BNC road funds that help fund our streets, repairs and maintenance. And then our license and permits, those are our application fees, those are our zoning administrator fees, our building inspector fees, things things like that, and then our interest. So next one. So when we talk about how we fund the general operation of the town, the sales tax and property tax. And there's pros and cons to both. And it's always something that we look at as we try to fully fund, the needs, of the town. And so, the sales tax, when I refer to sales tax here, it's your sales tax, it's your resort tax, it's your room tax, kind of anything that comes in from the use of things in the town. Whereas property tax is, the fee and lieu tax, which are vehicle registrations, and then just homes here in town. So, as you can see, sales tax is gonna be based on how successful our businesses are. So we've seen that sales tax has done really good things for us and kept us from, raising property taxes, throughout the last, well, for a while. So, questions on this?
I have a question.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
much does the Virgin Town get of property taxes? Because the county collects the property taxes, right?
Correct.
We just get a little percentage of that.
Yeah, it's in a couple slides, but I think that I got my rate wrong, so I'll show it to you as a graph and it'll be close, but I can tell you right now that it's wrong, so.
Is that the same with our, other sales taxes, like our, transient tax? Do we get all of that, or does the county collect that and then we get a proportion of that?
So sales tax is kind of twofold, meaning if somebody buys something here, you get a greater portion of it. However, you do get a share of all the sales tax that goes to the state based on your population as a percentage of the state.
So resort tax and those taxes, they're different depending on what it is, right?
Correct, so the resort tax is actually 100% yours.
Okay.
Because that is a tax that the town actually adopts an ordinance to assess. So it's actually, I think there is a slight admin fee that the state charges, but it's all yours. Whereas sales tax will be only a portion, and I believe transient room tax is only a portion as well. But if you had no business in town, you would still get some sales tax. Because you do get a portion of all sales tax, but you get a greater portion of sales tax purchases that list Virgin Town as the location it was purchased. Great questions. All right, next slide. So the yellow lines are your sales tax, and your blue lines are your property tax. So you can see that sales tax has been funding and continues to fund the operations of the town. It's been a huge reason why we've been able to kind of expand and do a lot of different things, whereas when we didn't have like the resort tax and we were kind of a little more, lean on what we did here at the city. City, town,
We don't.
don't you this,
So you reduce the, projection of the 2024 because you think maybe there's an economic slowdown?
yes, and I'm a conservative person when it comes to revenue. I would rather be low on my revenue, and then be pleasantly surprised rather than expect the same amount or more and expend more than we end up getting.
So, yeah, it also shows we got a little more property tax.
I see that, yeah.
Next slide. So the way that the certified tax rate goes, just so you're aware, as property values go up, the certified tax rate goes down. And so additionally, as you add more rooftops that have more value, that also makes the tax rate go down. So your certified tax rate will always be moving down, except in times where your property values are lowering. And so essentially they say your town thinks they need $80,000 of property tax to run the town. and we're gonna spread that over 100 rooftops. If that then turns into 120 rooftops, you still only get $80,000. So, there's always healthy reasons to increase your tax rate, and I'm not saying that we're definitely not this year, but, it's something to be aware of, because me as a citizen, I wouldn't know that if I didn't live and breathe in learning this for the town, right? I would think that my tax rate stays the same and that all you're doing is always raising it and raising it and raising it.
And that's for the truth in taxation, right?
That's correct.
And when was the last time the town did a truth in taxation? Do you know, James?
I know it's been like 20 years or more. It's been a really long.
That's good to know.
Utah League of Cities and Towns at one time, but still think they could probably do, to encourage towns to raise their tax rate every couple of years at a very, very small percentage. Because that way you're keeping up with everything and you're not having to, go through the truth in taxation hearing for big amounts when you need it.
Oh, is the truth in taxation only if you're raising it a large amount?
No, you still have to,
Premium.
you still have to go through it, but the public is more acceptable of a small annual or or every 2 years or every 3-year increase
Well,
than a big increase
I
in
have
10
wondered,
years.
I have wondered about our tax rate just because it hasn't been raised in so long. But we know what people in town would do if we tried to raise the rates. So,
So isn't there a maximum that can be raised to though? Or,
Well, I'm not aware of that. I'm gonna go to the next slide. So I copied this from another presentation, so if you see the other city's name on here, I'm really sorry. But this is how your tax rate works. And again, I think that rate is wrong, and I'll get you the updated rate. But you get a very small percentage, as you can see, you get a very small percentage, and let me see if I can find your. But yeah, you get a very small percentage of the total tax assessed, for the county. So. That is what I have. What questions do you have? So this is kind of the revenue side. I do have a few numbers on the expense side to give you. I broke it up into a couple categories and I didn't get them on the presentation. So on average in 2021, your wages were 32% of your total budget. Your services, which means like your lawyer, your accountant, like services.
professional service.
Professional services make up about 52%, and this is 2021, and I'll send you these numbers. Make up 52% of your total budget. Taxes were 2%, so like the taxes on wages, things like that. Materials, 14%.
So you said this is from 2021?
Your 2021. So your 2022, your wages were 24% of your total budget, and this is just the general fund. Taxes were 2%, materials were 19%, services were 40%, and your capital outlay was 15%. For 2023, your wages were 23%, taxes 2%, materials 14%, services 42%, capital outlay 18%. For 2025's proposed budget, your wages are 13%, your benefits are 1%, taxes, sorry, are 1%, your materials are 9%, your services are 12%, and your capital outlay is 65%.
You said this is for 2025?
Yeah, the proposed budget today.
How could salary be 13%?
So if I remove the big escalator, which is your purchase that you were considering, then I'll tell you those numbers without that in there.
Oh, okay.
Do you want those numbers? Sure. Okay, so the wages are 33%, benefits are 3%, materials are 24%, services are 31%, capital outlay is 10%.
So by adding in the purchase for the church, that's what makes
It
it
skews the number up.
33% each.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if I remove that as kind of like an escalator, right, to make it more comparable,
okay.
those are your percentages. So, I know there's a lot of changes kind of in the wages and what maybe we're moving forward with and what's proposed. And so I wanted you to see it in percentage form. I feel like that's helpful to understand, like, are we really making it this big leap or is it reasonable, helpful, things like that. How else can I help?
So the 10% on the capital improvements, that includes the water tank,
That does not, because we're talking just general fund.
the general, that's right, you said general.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any more?
That's all I have. That's it.
Okay.
Would you be willing to share your one?
Yeah, and that percentage spreadsheet would be. awesome.
Yeah, I will send that to Crystal and she'll put it in the share.
That's in Tokerville City on that.
And she said some of the names were wrong.
Oh.
So just ignore that.
Oh.
When you copy things, you, okay,
We'll call it the.
I tried to do a find even, it didn't find that one.
Okay, so, what I have here in everyone's folder. First was, Leroy was not here, he's, as you know, he's been coming to our work meetings and reporting on, what his little spreadsheets that he makes. And so he put this in here, he couldn't be here tonight, but he put this in here, for us to look at. And I thought I would just show you that what his calculations show is that total revenue is 150% of what we had budgeted, which would make Candace's heart very happy because Leroy and I try to keep the expected revenues way down so that we are pleasantly surprised when we go over the budget. So we went quite a bit over the budget this year. And expenses are 65% of what we have budgeted. Is that true? Where are you? I'm looking at this.
You're looking at the total, right?
I'm looking at the totals, yes. I'm just going down to the totals. I'm not focusing on the individual expenses at all. And then when we go down below, this is just, he's broken down, the taxes into all the different taxes that we get. And so, I had asked in the past if he could give us a breakdown. I like to see, for example, what was our resort tax in the same time last year, the same time the year before that. But that's it, that would be a different spreadsheet. Maybe our future treasurer could, do that for us on a regular basis. I always like to see year over year, month
Yeah.
and year, that's what I wanted, that's what I want to look at. So I just thought I would show you, Leroy's breakdown for us.
So do we just collect the resort tax directly?
No.
Because we get 100% of that, so the state does, and then they send us back.
Yes, yes. So what happens with the resort tax is, the treasurer and I both get, and the clerk, three people get the resort tax report from the state, but we have to sign away our life that we will never share what we get, we'll share only what we got. Because with it gives us the resort tax income for every town in the state, and we are not allowed to share that with anybody.
Oh, why?
We have to, no. We have to sign our life away that we'll never share. So,
Transparency.
so
That would be bad.
you would have to ask them, but when we signed up, it was quite an ordeal. So,
Is that a tax that we could raise as a town, or does that have to be?
we can raise only a little bit more, and Paul's supposed to be working on.
Well, that's the question we'll have to decide, we can discuss it just briefly now. We're at 1%. And we have the right to raise another 0.5%. And I think we qualify for the number of transient lodges pursuant to the population. But we can raise it 0.5%, but it has to go through the vote of the people.
Okay,
So when we're starting to talk about the budget, that's where that's gonna come in, because we have 0 for elections. And we'll have to decide if we wanna raise it this year and pay for elections, or wait till next year when we have elections. Is there a cost benefit of waiting? So it's 2 decisions.
You don't have to raise it 0.5%.
No, you can, but it still goes to the vote of the people.
Oh, I see.
If you go 0.5%, which would be at the maximum, we have to do the vote of the people. So that's the first decision. Do we do it? And then when do we do it?
this year or next year, yeah. So, when you say whether or not we qualify, is there an additional qualification beyond the first 1%? Because we know that you have to qualify.
It's the same qualification.
Okay. We're way above.
Yeah, the transient log in, greater than I think what the population was, or I don't remember the formula.
Yeah, I've got it.
What
Crystal's
makes,
text.
what makes you qualified?
It is, there's a formula, and you take how many transient lodging units there are in town. And there's a formula, you put it through, you multiply it by this, divide by this, and blah, blah, blah. And then you compare that with how many residents there are. Not the number of residents, but the number of homes.
Number of homes, yeah.
And if you if your transient lodging units exceed your number of homes by a certain percent, then you get to charge resort tax.
Interesting.
And so that's why I mentioned this to the planning commission at a meeting earlier in the year, that as we look at developments to approve in town, always keep in mind, how many homes do we have? How many transient lodging units do we have? Because if we lose the resort tax, we lose a lot of revenue. So that's just a numbers to always keep in mind as any development comes in to be approved. Is it short-term rentals? Is it a hotel? Is it some kind of lodging? And how many more would that give us, as opposed to the number of houses? So, because if we lose the resort tax, that's quite a bit. I mean,
So let's just say, for example, they built out Sierra Valley. Would that impact what we have now?
no, it will not. There's a really big.
Yeah.
We've got.
Yeah,
We don't need to allow any more development, just.
I think we're gonna be okay for the future. I think we'll be okay for a long time.
Will they include all, like, every year I have to call every resort and ask them, because, they're still developing, and so I have to call and say, how many RV spots do you have? And they want each RV slot, each connection, each hookup that they have, how many people they hold, how many rooms they have.
So are RVs, does it matter if it's an RV or a?
Yeah.
So do they not count?
That's
as much
included.
as-
They have different things. I mean, when you go through the formula, it's how many RV spots, how many this, how many this, how many this, and some get multiplied by different numbers, and you go over and then calculate, and then they say, how many homes do you have, and what's the excess, and you're like, okay, you get a resort tax.
Yeah.
And
How
so,
about, residential hosting?
Yeah, that's included. However, I can only include the ones that I actually get the permits for,
Yeah,
that are real.
so the other ones.
So there's a lot of resort, so
We
there's,
can't have those.
Yeah.
so even though the state is collecting the funds for it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, and some of them, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they are.
Maybe.
Maybe they're not, maybe they're not, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If they're going through one of the websites, yeah, then they are, but if they're not doing that,
that way, then
they're doing it on
Which-
Craigslist, then.
yeah, which most of them are advertising on Airbnb because that's how the Granicus program's picking them up, so, yeah, they're getting
And
it.
that's how you determine whether you got legal ones or.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. So, I brought that up about the resort tax, just letting you know that we can't share that. That's how that whole topic came up. And there's another, there's something called there's the soda and the sort, that we get access to. And it's just the clerk, the treasurer, and right now it's me, but we ever have the town manager, the town manager, not me. But, there's a research, the sort is a research tool, and we can search all sorts of stuff in the state's tax records, but again, you have to sign off that you will never share what you learned with anyone. So, anyway, okay, it's a lot of private information that's there. So I had on here for us, there are some things that I had sent after, I believe, after Candace prepared this, budget worksheet, that I got this, the loan paperwork for the loan from the BWQ for doing the groundwater protection study. And I forwarded it on to Candace so that he could put that into, we don't have it on here because this was dated April 25th, and I got the loan paperwork on May 1st. So, it's not in here, but it would be a loan, where would that go? Intergovernmental, not intergovernmental.
It doesn't have to be paid back till 2027.
Until we do up with the income, we're gonna get that.
Oh, it's not, okay, so you.
It's for what, remind me?
It is for the groundwater protection study,
Groundwater protection, so it's gonna go in 1036,840.
1036,840. So right now we have 1,800,000, which would be for the purchase of the church, so we would add this 60,000.
Are you receiving the funds before July 1st?
Have to see what it says exactly when the funds, if they come before that, then yes, it goes into this year's budget. Yes, I understand that. I have not signed this agreement yet because I have it on the agenda for, yes,
I do have a question about it when I look at it.
I think we were going to be receiving $60,000.
Yeah,
We are contributing 20.
So where does that show up on the budget?
No, that's what she just said. We're gonna put it in 1036,840 is where this additional 60,000 would go.
Well, I'm saying the $20,000 that the town is responsible for, does that show up somewhere? Anywhere?
Yes, it does. Where
Then we have a
have
water conservancy board and water quality board, right?
So if we're paying out 20,000 on the groundwater protection study, I could have sworn we put that in here, but we will, Candace will check.
And
And
then
if
the
it's not, then where on here does it go? If we are budgeting 20,000 to spend on groundwater protection study
So you just said we get 60,000.
from the state and we're.
So
putting
it
in-
actually is gonna cost 80,000, but we got a grant for 60 and the town's paying 20. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, so we will spend out 80,000, 60 of it from the loan, 20 of it out of our own money.
It's a grant, right? Not
It's a
loan.
loan. Right now, it's a loan. They're gonna wait and see what the results of the study are and determine if they will make it a grant.
So how does the Water County Water Conservancy District, $40,000 come in? Do they just give us that to them?
No, they're not gonna give that. to us.
Oh, they're not?
No, they'll pay part of the bill, just like with, I do not expect the Water Conservancy District to give us $40,000. I'm expecting the engineering firm Sunrise to send some bills to the Water Conservancy
Oh, so it
District.
goes. Okay.
Well, there's also forgiveness irrespective of the outcome, study. If we provide an informational,
Yes,
presentation to the water quality board within 1 year.
yes, but we will not know if they're going to forgive it until we get all the way down to the year study. So it may very well turn into a grant, but we do not know that at this time.
That
So-
is a very strange thing.
It's a very strange process, but I think we gotta think about it as being an expenditure and hope that we get the grant versus the expenditure.
Exactly, that's how I'm thinking of it. That we have to hope that they're going to, turn it into a grant.
It would be a grant if they determined that we had to have larger than one.
No, there's also something that says if we do a presentation to the DLQ with the results. And so they.
And they're happy with us.
And they're happy with us.
So it's up to them as to whether they like us or not on that.
So April, I'll make you do the presentation.
Thanks for volunteering, April.
They're passing some other slide.
Okay, so anyway, I put the paperwork in here for us.
Get 60,000.
So I put this paperwork in here for everyone's folder, so you would know we have an additional 60 in grant that needs to go, and the additional 20 in expenditures that we need to put wherever, Candace says it goes.
Well, yeah, 80,000 expenditures.
Okay.
It's an engineer that's gonna do it, right?
What?
It's an engineer that does the study.
Yes, it's Sunrise Engineering.
Okay, so-
They're doing study we've gotten going. We got this the very same day we had our kickoff meeting of 21st.
It will go 1044 for each end.
1044, 310.
General fund,
So 80. Why would it go in the general fund and not?
because it's
in-
groundwater, it's not.
Groundwater, not the corner.
Okay. Okay, answer that question. All right, and then the other thing, I did not send you a copy of the purchase agreement. I don't know that I needed to, Candace, but I need to send you a copy of this purchase agreement from the church. Okay, we'll forward that to you. Thank you. Okay, because you've already got the money in here, but, I didn't know if you needed the actual.
We'll need it for the audit creation.
Okay.
And
And it'll be, this is going to be redone, by the way, so,
and that'll be on next month's agenda.
and not be on next month's agenda. We may have to have a special meeting, maybe we could do a special meeting right before the work meeting in June, to address that. That, I believe, is all I had. So I've got this other stuff we're gonna talk about that has to be on the town council agenda next meeting, but, none of that is anything to do with the budget discussion for now. So what questions do you guys have for Candace? Or what questions do you guys just have about the budget? Or some changes that you want to make about it, whatever.
Well, when we started discussion, we have nothing for the election this year. So the question is, one, do we wanna get the maximum out of transient room tax that we can? And if so, do we wanna put it on election for this year, which means it's gotta be done in June? And, Or do we wait till the next election, and which is less expensive?
Well, if we do this election, I was wondering, when you and I were talking about this the other day, if this would actually be an election that would be ballots by mail, or would this be an election where people would be coming in? Since it's not a usual election.
Whatever's the cheapest.
What, oh, yeah, well, whatever's cheapest is probably the ballot by mail, because what it cost us this last election to do the ballot by mail was really inexpensive. I was really surprised at how little it cost. For that at all.
But we have such a small town, they go off of a percentage.
Well, let's see, do we have, where's the election expenses in here? We can see what we paid this last year. Where are you?
Oh, I just remember since I have a photographic memory.
Oh, you do.
Not really. But I remember looking at the election and it was, I thought around five
Yeah, I'm still looking at, okay, expenses, let's see.
2,700.
Where?
Under the general fund,
I'm
under
looking,
general government expenses.
yeah,
the
1044 what? Oh, there it is, 241. 2,000, I was thinking, but if we, it's cost us 2,000.
But that's tied with a regular election. So,
This would not.
well, it would be, because we'd be tying it with the general.
If we do it next.
If
Oh,
we
you
do
did
this
this?
Yeah, because
So it should cost us around the same.
I don't know, that's what we have to find out, because
So
maybe
you
they
have
charge
to
us.
ask, Melanie?
But the election will be next year.
No,
How much-
there's an election this year for president.
Right.
So if we add to the ballot, what Paul is proposing
What is
is
going to
that
be for them to mail out the ballots for us?
if we add onto the ballot a specific question for virgin voters about raising our
Or
tax.
tax.
Yes. What, and then he wants to know what would that cost?
Be?
Yes. And so we would have to ask Melanie, I think,
What's the
And
deadline?
whether it's,
what the deadline is.
and,
Yes.
and whether, yeah, whether it's, because we have to do it by June for pursuant to the statute for this transient tax. Then the question is there a difference in expense this year or next year? Because we're running one next year anyway for the town,
Right.
so is it less
I believe
expensive
we're
to do
coming
it
up
next year?
Real close on that deadline.
Pardon me?
I believe we're coming up real close on the deadline.
Yeah, well, I know for June for us, and you're right, they may have a different deadline. We may have already missed it.
Yeah.
But we can find out.
But nothing precludes us from doing, notice way before June for, not this year, but for the fall.
We could go ahead and start the process.
Yeah, so you should know what the deadline date is.
I'll send her an email.
Well, I know when we were in that resort meeting at the conference, you and me in April, they seemed, the rest of the people in the room for our resort caucus was, pretty, like in disbelief why we were not collecting even this extra amount. They were like, why? Why would you leave the money on the table? And so they clearly all collect the max.
And for April Marcy, a
You
year
mean
ago,
Misty and Marcy?
no, Misty was here.
Oh,
A year ago, the town council, Leroy and Gene said, yes, we should be collecting
Yeah.
that extra percentage.
and we just never followed.
We just never, yeah, he was supposed to draft a resolution.
Oh, that's right, you just said, never mind, we do it.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we all did this even, so. I'll draft one and send it to you.
So we could go ahead and start on this even if it will be like next year.
Yes. Yes.
It given some of the stuff we would like to do in town, and that revenue is gonna help pay for it, I'd say, well, go for the additional revenue.
Well, it's gotta be voted on by the public. And, you know,
I'm just saying, let's go.
And there may be a resistance to increasing it. I don't know, I think most people will realize that it's the transients that will pay it, but there is some expense, I think, I haven't looked to see what the tax is on, but I think there may be an expense to the citizens, but I don't know, I have to look at.
Okay, so what I wanna know is, I know when they passed the resort tax, the first 1% that we collect, there was no vote by the people.
No, but I think you have to vote for that extra half, so, or they changed it since you were.
Since then, okay, because I was gonna say, I know it well.
I'll look
there
at the
was no vote.
statute again, I just glanced at it
Okay,
a while ago,
okay,
and then I saw it was a vote on it, caught me by surprise.
okay.
And I don't know when they added that to it, it may have been after I raised it a year ago, now it's a vote, so. And I may be misreading it, but I'll take a look at it before I.
Okay.
Are you gonna go through like what's different, what changed, why it changed? I mean, I'm sure there was some cleanup, housekeeping to put things in the right categories or just to balance things, but
I wasn't planning on it, I figured you guys could ask some questions.
I mean, I identified every change, but.
I don't know.
uh,
Oh,
Given the amount of time that I spent with Candace going over everything, I mean, 4 hours, I'm like, I'm not gonna spend 4 hours going over this yet again. That wasn't the plan.
So if I had a question, I just met with the mayor one-on-one and she was able to answer my question.
I do have some question and possible changes.
Okay,
My first question is, I think you're wrong on the wages and salaries, in that you have listed Bronwyn at $300 and she's actually at $400.
yes, and Crystal, we need to change that. Crystal is calling, we looked at the pay, and has indeed, they just kept on paying her the 300 she had been paid. We never let them know, oh, by the way, she's the chairman and she needs to go up $100. So since the 1st of January, she's been paid 300, so Crystal is supposed to call them and let them know to send her a retroactive
It will
check.
be fixed this next
Yeah.
check,
Next pay.
Yeah,
and it will be fact checked.
Yeah.
And
but I
so
mean,
she'll just increase it.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm just saying, you're asking, you know, what
Yeah.
changes, and off the current budget I have in front of me, it needs to be changed. The other one is insurance, we have 0 going out for insurance this year.
Yeah, that was one of my.
What now?
We have no money going out for insurance, and we have to pay the land trust money for insurance.
So where do we record that? Because we pay it every year.
Well, so
I
zero,
think it
zero,
was oversight, I noticed that when I was doing my numbers. Right here on, page 3, 1044, 5 to 10.
1044.
5 to 10.
Back to 25, right?
Yeah,
Also insurance in the water department.
Is that the same type of insurance, just?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of insurance that is.
just try to spread it between the 3 funds, or the funds, is my guess.
is that what happens?
The water department, I think historically has been health insurance, which is why it's only at like
Oh, okay.
0 for the last year. Which is probably why I would leave that on at 0, actually.
And I guess that's another question, I don't think, we got enough funds in the general fund to pay for it, but should it be, allocated to, a portion to the water fund?
It's probably this much.
It's very small.
Yeah.
I mean, there is potential claims there, but such a small amount.
So that insurance is to cover like claims.
It's a cover lawsuit, yeah.
Well, it's a little bit of everything, like you have property insurance on buildings and
All the insurance over
And you
there.
have vehicle insurance on the town vehicles, so like a general liability policy, an auto policy, and then there are some bonds or And the workers' comp.
The work on and zeroed out.
We just included it in the total insurance rather than explicitly listing it, so it's.
It's all lumped into that insurance.
Yeah.
So on 1032-350. Zoning fees.
Yeah, I was
We
wondering
got
about that.
zero all the way across, we've got some zone changes, and we have, is this different from the fee for a zone change?
Sorry, to give you the number.
1032-350. I wonder about the zeros all the way across because I just wonder if this is different from the receipt for the.
I'm wondering if they just got it lumped in with, zoning administration fee.
The zone changes are always under the application fee, because it's always just an application fee.
Yeah, it's never a separate
So
application.
it's almost
So
like
there
it
isn't
just,
a zoning fee. We can inactivate that account.
I was gonna say, we just need to turn that.
Yeah,
into-
it's always just
get rid of
put
that
under,
account.
like I just done one and it's under the application fee because they paid that $1,000 for the zone change and it's the application fee is the $1,000.
Okay, so we'll just get rid of it. So we're gonna get rid of, well, she's just said she'll inactivate that
Yeah.
account.
Although, yeah, it's for you allocated it, but do we have other application fees besides zoning?
Yes.
Yeah, and you.
There's building permit application, there's,
Like, a lot of applications.
we have a lot of different applications.
They're listed here under licenses and permits.
We got business, we got beer and wine, animal
Yeah.
building permits.
But like application fees, like every time someone submits like a building application, that's like $100 application fee. And those all just get application fees.
So the building permits is
It's that,
what we charge as a building permit
Yeah.
fee. That's not the fee for the application.
application.
Yeah.
Well, the only question, and I think it's easy to do, but at some point, when we charge any type of zoning fees, we have to make sure that it's commensurate with our expenses, what the actual cost of what we do is. So for raising our fees, is there a reason we should probably keep zoning different from the other applications? Because if we're ever challenged, we want to be able to get that information to say, here's how much we charge, here's what we got in, and here's our expenditures.
But the zone change fee is all administrative application fee.
No, yes, but it's because of, we have to send out, notice to all the people, they're gonna get the zone, that near there where the zone change is gonna be.
What, maybe
They have all
I'm
the hearings,
misunderstanding.
we have-
When we have here that says application, revenue for application fees, does that include more than just the zoning fees that are?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So how easy is it to separate that out from the inquiry or we get a
It's a
lawsuit?
lot of application.
What's that?
A lot of, are you saying like each application is separate each application?
No,
Oh.
each
class
class
or
or action,
Each, so as applications, you have zoning, what else do you have?
building permit application.
Building permit, special events?
We charge an application fee
Yeah,
for,
So if we get a lawsuit challenging us that our fees are too, and they're not, but if we ever did, our fees are too high for zoning, how much of a trouble is it gonna be to go back and separate out the receipt of those fees of what we received?
well, when I implemented in the general ledger, I put what it's for, so it's so we can pull it and
for that
manage or
particular
whatever,
person,
and yeah, we can pull that particular person and like, I just put in zone change for X. Application fee, zone change for this, or building permit fee for this, app fee for this.
Well, I'm just wondering if that's gonna create a lot of work. If it's not, if it's easy to retrieve the information, then what I'm saying it doesn't matter. But if,
Yeah, it is easy to retrieve the information because I implemented it correctly in the GL
she's saying she labels it,
Yeah.
and so when, if that ever came up, she could do a search and it would pull up specifically each category and she could do it in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, so it's a matter of
Thanks.
5 minutes and not 5 hours worth of work. Okay.
Right.
So if someone challenges you on your fee, you're saying that you're obligated to tell them the cost of doing.
No, in defending it, we want to make sure that we know what we received and what how much it costs us to process those type of applications.
That's why he's saying if I challenge you on my zoning fee and I say, Katie, your $1,000 is way too much. And I wanna see your documentation to show me where you're putting that money.
Well, that would be on the expense side, not the.
That would be awesome.
Yes, but.
Right,
we have to
but
know how much
He
revenue
wants
you
to
have.
know, they wanna see both, they wanna see a revenue spreadsheet and they wanna see an expense spreadsheet, so they can put it all together.
So if you challenge me on your fee, I have to show you what everybody.
Where, no,
No,
so
just
he's
what we
saying,
spent on
he's
your issue.
saying, and can, or, Crystal answered it already.
Yeah,
He's saying, can you label it and is it difficult to do so?
yeah, and.
And Crystal's saying no, because the way she enters it into the system, she can search it and it's there. So there's,
We understand Excel, so it's a little different.
Yeah, well, you're dealing with a different system.
Yeah.
And so my question is it necessary to create different levels of applications? Your answer is no, because I can retrieve the
That's just
information.
gonna make
Uh,
3 times the amount of work.
Yeah, so you're better off doing it the way you do it. That's fine. I just want to make sure that I understood.
search and export it to Excel.
Fantastic. No, that works.
Is the zoning administrator fee, the 1032,305, is that for like solar permits and pool permits? And things like
That
that?
actually needs to be changed to the,
Development review committee.
Oh, that's what that's for.
that, yeah, it's labeled wrong, it needs to be changed.
Where does the like pool permits and solar permits go?
Okay, tell me the name of the.
Yeah.
This is 1032-305. Actually needs to be changed to development review committee.
So it depends on what, it might be an application fee, it might be a solar permit, is what, a permit fee?
Well, the permit fee and then
There's
the,
no permit fees on, for permit.
but it would be under the building permit.
Yeah, so if you open a building permit submission, it will line out the application fee, the building permit fee, the
Dollars fee,
the
this
dog
fee,
fee,
this
the
fee,
development
this
fee,
fee,
if
all
there
this
is one, impact fees if there is one, so that sheet is assembled with the deposit and it's entered with each.
So a solar permit is a building, is that a?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, all permits are under building permit, because they're essentially the county looks at a solar bill, electric, everything is all building permit.
Okay.
So you guys just categorize them and then we can break it down. The transition.
I had a question about the contract labor and expenses.
And that is where?
I feel like it's, so it is 1044,350. Feel like it's inclusive of a lot of things, and I'm just curious what all of those might be, like, is that?
Let's see, so next year we
What are your
are,
subcategories for that
Yeah.
category?
that is, oh,
It's probably 80% us, for being honest.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it's 80% us.
Oh, yes.
So like for our
Verdict
zoning
is
administrator.
under contract.
Oh, Hinton Burdick.
And we pay them however much every month.
So this is Hinton Burdick, it's the attorney, it's
No,
zoning.
attorney's under attorney
Or it's just Hinton Burdick and zoning administrator?
and the zoning administrator.
Okay, but then there's building inspector / zoning, so I'm like,
That's,
building
that's just
inspector.
say building inspector, get rid of the word zoning.
that's purely building inspector.
1044,360. Just get rid of the word zoning, because this is what we pay land.
Well, and that's what, yeah, she's,
Yeah,
I think it's like.
1044,360 is.
just like the give action.
That's what, yes.
Yeah.
So I'll just say get rid of the word zoning.
And 350 is,
Contract labor,
A lot of different things.
that's Hinton Burdick, We put Hinton Burdick, our CPA, Gene, the zoning administrator, because he's a 1099. We pay
Right.
Kenny to do some stuff periodically if we need to have, we have Kenny do some stuff once he goes under contract labor. And, depending on what it is he's doing,
I can,
because,
I can cut Alan Lee go out and dig his
Okay.
yeah,
cemetery plot.
yeah, so it's all that kind
And
of stuff.
anytime the public works guy's gone, if there's an emergency, you have to pay that person out to come and do it.
So
The
what?
engineer under contract with labor.
No, it's on separate.
He's got his own category up there.
You could,
And so is the prosecutor.
Yeah.
There's no money budgeted for audit expenses either.
I thought they were.
where,
No, it says here.
where is that?
1044,315.
Oh, I see, there's a category out here.
Isn't that just under yours?
It's gone back and forth, so. We're not, you not us, this is what you pay Haven Buckner.
Yeah.
So there's been times where it gets lumped into contract labor, and then times when you explicitly leave it out, and as long as we put somewhere, I
So
don't
it's just
care.
been moved probably to contract labor or something.
It just depends on, she just said sometimes it gets put into contract labor. She didn't say always, just sometimes.
Sorry, Sil, my associate, was with Gene, so I don't know those very specific things.
But we can put something there, I don't know what an audit costs. So we should probably put something there. For the audit.
So one other question on the salaries, Jean is,
I'm gonna put 7.
7, okay.
on your spreadsheet, you didn't have town manager listed, you had planner, but not town manager.
Because when we typed up the plan, the spreadsheet, I just called it the plan.
Oh, so that's town.
It's whichever one we hire. If we hire a manager, it'll be a manager. If we hire a planner, it'll be a planner. Whatever you wanna call it, some administrator for the town,
So,
some
so,
administrative position.
so we're not hiring both, it's not in the budget to hire both the planners?
I don't think we have the money.
That's correct. I did the
That,
wages.
what's correct? We don't have the money or it's not in the budget?
It's not in the budget. I don't tell people whether or not they have money, I let them make those decisions. That's what you guys get paid for. If you want my advice, I would say even wait, do one at a time and see how it goes. I wouldn't do both. That's my opinion. You can see how much fund balance we're using, and we have not reduced expenses, we've increased some, so.
Yes, so we're
That
good
number
for
will be
that.
going up.
Well, let's talk about various positions that we hire, we're hiring a code enforcement officer. So there's an expense there.
Right, that's already in our budget.
And if we hire a planner in that, are we gonna need, not dealing with personalities, are we gonna need a zoning administrator? Because that's a contracted expense.
We know, yeah, April's already talked to me about whether or not we just will fold it into.
Well, I'm guessing that based on zoning administrator expenses, that's such a small amount that there wouldn't be enough there to add a manager. There's not enough money saved from that, to add a manager.
Oh, no.
I'm just thinking.
A
out
manager
loud.
would be way more than whatever we pay some administrator.
So don't you think a manager would be full-time?
Yeah,
So there wouldn't be much planning then going on.
exactly. And to me, as I was explaining to Paul the other day, my 2 things that I worry about more than anything is planning and capital improvements. Those are the 2 things
Okay,
that I want I want them off my plate, I want them off my shoulders.
capital improvements, the plan would be dealing with that.
No, but it would go, well, I'm hoping this new public works guy that starts on Monday, and with, Rod now being our engineer, that a lot of that's gonna get taken care of. That's, keeping my fingers crossed. That I could not have to worry about that anymore. And then when it comes to planning, I worry about the ordinances that are being written, how to work with the planning commission, the planner keeping, I've looked around at different towns and how their planners work. And, how they interact with the planning commission. They write the ordinances, not people that aren't trained. These guys are trained. And, they keep track of the general plan and the post plan that you want, and then this plan, and then that plan. And they just, that's their job. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm listening, I'm just trying to
And it
think
just,
through my mind about the $2.7 million budget. And a lot of the issues we have in running a town would benefit from a manager.
and I did talk with someone and I said, you know, could we do, because you were proposing a manager slash planner, and they were like, yeah, you could do that, but they're not gonna be full-time in either position. They would be full-time, but they would be, they'd have too many hats. And I'm not, and as Candace said, hire one at a time. So the question is, which one is more important? And my personal opinion, I think the planner is more important than the manager. But we also have this, what's gonna happen with, buying the church and all the stuff involved there, and the bonds and this and that, a manager's gonna be doing, not a planner.
Having a
So it's like,
having a professional run organization with an expertise of a manager.
To you, it is more important than a planner,
I think at this point,
that you think the manager's more important than the planner. I wonder if we could get like in contract labor for the planner?
But if it's about that, those are costs.
that's probably.
You could do a contract for a planner.
Because I know Lori has proposed over the years that we contact that guy, Bob Wilson, but he's just getting older and older, he had retired.
Well,
And I know he was helping towns, but I heard he's trying to just stop all that. He just wants to be retired, that's what I've heard, that was about a year ago. I heard that about him. So it's possible we can just have to, research it. But if you want to, if the ultimate consensus of the council is that a manager is more important than the planner, then I'll just research what we can look at to find, I'll talk to Tom and Springdale or something, see if he's now someone who could,
well,
help us with planning on a
At this
contract.
point,
basis.
we have time for that, as long as we've got it budgeted in our budget.
Yes,
So back
yeah.
to just the budget is there, and when we decide which one we hire, at that point.
Exactly, that was my,
We have
reason as to
time.
why I
to
just
discuss it, chew it.
that's why we could just take that spreadsheet and say administrator, and then it doesn't matter if it's manager or planner, just on the spreadsheet.
As long as-
Just for the spreadsheet.
as long as the council as a whole understands that
We
it's
don't-
either a manager or a planner, it's now both, and we'll have to decide.
Exactly. Let's see, where's the,
And we have
that's
to maybe contract out planning, so we should look at maybe contracting out the planning out there.
the, yes. I'll see what we can find. Let's see, I need the,
Do you want us to roll to the next question?
yes,
Just
go on to the next question then.
Can I ask?
Go.
There's throughout various accounts, about $58,000 budgeted for travel training conference. Was just curious about that. Not what was budgeted for in previous years, so.
That's because in previous years, nobody went to conferences and nobody went to training. And so I want people to go get trained, I want them to go to conferences, I want them to know what they're doing. And
I totally agree.
and that's why
I
they did not go in the past, nobody went to trainings or conferences or.
People did, not a lot, but.
Well,
Not in the last couple of years.
Not the
maybe
town
not the
council. no town council or planning commissions went to any trainings.
So, oh, you're talking not employees, you're talking.
No, not.
No, not in the-
Town council. and
It'll be them too, I mean, you have a brand new public works, so he's gonna need some.
He's got some training, I had sent Cage to some training, so, there's that too. But does that go under, where are
So
Where
it's
are
in
they?
various accounts, so starting with the general fund,
we? Okay,
there's 8,000.
what number?
Hang on.
Oh, here we are, 1044. That's,
Yeah, that one's only 8,000.
okay. And then there's the next one.
It is in, sorry, I just think it. There's 16,667 in roads.
What number? 1060 what? So under capital projects,
Or
right?
maybe, yes, I think it is capital projects. sorry.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Conference training travel 16667. I know that, I'm not quite sure where that number came from, how we came up with it. But, definitely with the assistant, if we're, want the public works assistant to have training, he's got training to go to. And, the new guy, I want him to go to some training too.
Yeah, and you
And
guys
the
must have,
conferences, there's different
you guys must
conferences.
have come up with that number from somewhere
I
because
don't know where.
the same amount, 16,667 is used in parks and water.
Okay, so just
So
multiply
it must-
by three
I
and
just-
that's where we came from. Okay.
That was just a change, I noted it.
What's the total on that then, for
It's
all?
about $58,000.
Does that sound about what you've been thinking?
Well, if you've got, people are going to, they've got to stay at the hotel, there's the fees,
Yeah.
the travel, the mileage. It adds up.
Okay.
It may end up being that, we spend way less.
Okay. I was just wondering if that's what you were thinking and it got spread out correctly.
Yeah.
But what Leroy and I did is Leroy and I do budget, we underestimate revenue and we overestimate expenses, and we always do it that way. So that you get pleasantly surprised when your revenue is high and you're really happy when your expenses are less. So you had a question, Misty?
No,
Oh,
I was
okay.
just not, because,
You were just trying to move us along so that you could go home. Okay.
no, just keeping the conversation going, so we usually backtrack, so.
Yeah.
So the year-to-date actual for the Washington County Sheriff is 28,760 and we budgeted 20,000.
You have to tell us what number and what page.
It is page 3
Page
and it
3,
is 10-55-800.
1055, I don't have 1055 on page 3.
Police department.
Oh, there it is, 1055. What happened is, there had been some errors in billing from them for the previous year. They sent us a bill to pay for a previous year where we'd already closed out the budget. So that's what that is.
So we know that it will be 20,000.
It will. Because they came to us and had a meeting and showed us what they had underbuilt. We're like, okay, so this is a bill,
They need an office manager then.
they do. Well, they're supposed to be sending us a bill for how much? 3,600, and they were sending us a bill for 300.
It was 3,500 and they were billing us
350.
350.
Yeah, and we're like, we're sitting there going, at the end of the year, we're going, whoa, we didn't put in what we're supposed to.
Thanks for getting that extra.
No, that's funny. Okay.
So on the employee wages, I was just wondering if the town has a pay plan.
Has a what plan?
Pay plan,
No, we have not established a pay plan.
is that
The,
going to be established?
it is going to be established. There is a personnel specialist I've been talking to. And 2 months ago, I talked to him about it, and he's waiting for me to send him some documents, so that he can get it from there. He has to have a job description for everybody, and, I just haven't had time to send him the stuff. And he has written, said, are we doing this? Yeah. And then I get a roll up the first. So,
Yeah.
But it will be
that
done.
all these increases are equitable across the board, percentage wise for each employee.
Well, this year, we're just doing a cost of living increase.
That's
Cool.
what I was wondering, here, in the spreadsheet you sent didn't explain any of that, so. But the benefits portion, is that being increased or is it staying the same or?
That's staying the same for now, but Paul and I were discussing the other day, we are not going to be able to hire a manager if we don't join the Utah retirement system.
And that was my next question.
We may be able to hire a manager, but it all depends on the type of man, what the manager's looking for. But we're gonna be second fiddle to a lot of hiring unless we're part of that system.
Exactly.
And so he and I talked about that, when we went to the conference, I went to the Utah retirement system table, and they told me that it would be, we would have to budget 20% of the salaries to go to the Utah retirement system. And so we're like, okay.
And I think we should.
I think
Yeah,
that's
we were
really
talking
great.
about that. So, so what do you say, Candace?
She asked if they raised it, and I said no. The new hybrid system doesn't allow it to go beyond 20%.
That's just what the guy at the table told me. He said, but expect 20%. And I said, all right.
There's
So,
ebbs and flows, but the new hybrid system doesn't allow it to exceed certain percentages.
so I have not followed up with.
I went to their training, it was very
It's just what the guy at the table.
It's different for law
As
enforcement.
the town grows,
But the
as
public
the staff
employees.
grows, it
Exactly.
makes us.
Less attractive, to. So yes, how much more money are we about to take out of our excess fund?
One, I don't know.
Because right now, we have,
5,000. 53,000, 54,000.
really? I thought it would be more than that.
That would be for,
Oh, sorry, no, well, so that's, so you have 80 coming out, right, but you have 60 coming in,
Yes.
so I did 20.
Yes, and then the 7 for, audit,
7 for the audit,
25 for insurance. So, yeah, okay.
$1,200 for the increase in the Braun winds, that's $100 a month.
Okay, so 57,
I got 53,200.
53,200. Okay. So let's see, where is that? What page is that? And that's shown.
Page 1, I think.
Page 1?
No,
No, I mean, where do we see the excess fund?
1039,900, page 2, middle of the page. So you go from 170.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, so the 170 would go to
223,
223.
400.
223, 400. So you can see that last year's budget, we had decreased the general fund balance by, in the same line, 304, 587 in order to make the budget balance, and we never touched it. Never needed it because our revenue was more.
So even if we decrease the excess fund balance by this 223,400, we may never even touch that. So the excess fund, we have money in the excess fund balance. That is according to Canvas every year when we have, what's left over excess revenue. Revenue beyond expenses, that excess goes into the excess fund balance. And so every year it's been increasing because we've always come in with expenses less than revenues.
Is that different than a reserve fund?
No.
Okay, now this is a reserve fund.
That is ours.
Does, I know under government accounting rules, you have to have so much in a reserve fund. Do you know what that is?
You're allowed to have up to 3% of your budget in your reserve fund.
Well, I'm under GABA, and I don't know if it applies to Utah towns. Their recommendations to what your reserve fund should be.
So, when I stepped into this position 13 years ago, you were actually in a negative reserve, a negative fund balance. So Utah will take over if you get to the point where you're not performing what you need to, but they will never take your money if you have too much.
I'm thinking because the town I used to work for always won awards for its finance. And according to the government accounting recommendations, we had to have a reserve fund that was astronomical, in my opinion, but it was so much more than your general fund or something like that.
Yeah, so Utah's not like that. I know that, I believe it's Arizona actually penalizes towns that aren't in a healthy fund balance, but Utah.
Yeah, and this was just the government, national government organization for accounting and finance. And it was just their recommendations, it wasn't binding upon the town, but the town didn't want to go against those government recommendations, so. Or that private organization's recommendations.
So anyway, we have plenty of money in the excess fund balance to take the 220, whatever it was. 223,400. And as I said, if you look at that last year we took 304,587 out of the excess fund. We used that to balance the budget, then never needed it, so it stayed in the excess fund number 5. And we're taking less than that this year to balance the budget.
With the other question on the budget, now that we're talking about, I didn't see, with Leroy, talk about putting $1,000 expenditure for potential sewer.
Yeah, you guys did talk about that.
And I don't see it in the budget.
I don't know where. I have no idea if we talked to Sil or Candace about it.
I don't know if they did.
You mentioned at the last budget meeting, but I'll be honest, I did not do anything.
Yeah, and it was a rough calculation by Leroy to say, let's start with creating this,
Was this a month?
what's that?
Was this a month? 1,000 a month or 1,000 a year? You said you were,
1,000 a month, I thought,
okay.
but
I don't remember, I'm just asking.
my recollection was 1,000 a month, you can ask Leroy. So that would be about 12,000 a year. And then what we're hoping to do is over, by the time it reached, or we needed to do better calculations, but by the time at 5 years or 8 years of the sewers here, you've got what, over 100,000 in this fund to help offset those costs, so it may be less on our, if we're taking out more money for other things on the budget, that may have to be reduced. But we should have,
But if we can do it, we should.
we at least should start and then,
So where would you put that if we were to do such a fund for a sinking fund, I guess is what
with the
it's
sinking
called.
fund, or, yeah, kind of a reserve fund, and then we need to break the rules for accessing it.
I think we should put it in our debt section, which is 1080, and just add a line there for sewer sinking fund or something. I feel like it's, I don't know.
I wanna consult with, McKay back at my office who audits to make sure that it's in the right department.
Yeah, because we don't have, I mean, do we end up creating a different, because you've got a special fund for water, special service fund for water, we have to create a separate one for the sewer. Problems, you don't want it in the general fund, you don't want it in water fund, or do you just take it out of general? That's part of the question you're.
That's what I wanna consult with McKay on. My gut says we wanna leave it in general, right? Cause if we move it anywhere, then it has to stay. And it definitely doesn't fit in water. I know it's wastewater, but it doesn't fit in water. We don't want to have those requirements that are required for impacts, right? And so I feel like it just needs to be a designated fund and.
Yeah, it's pretty much a restricted fund, but, yeah,
By the way,
but we would technically be able to access it.
since we're looking at Department 80. And, it has local payment accounts, clear principal, and then the interest. And this past year in 2024, it was 70/70, which is what we have here. But next year, on the amortization schedule, while the payment is 5,000, the interest is actually 1995, so $75 less. So we put 7,500 in the budget for this next year, but the payment together is actually gonna be 6,995. I don't know if we should just leave it 75, so we come in less, but it's gonna be 6,995.
I'll change it, whatever you say.
I'm just asking what you.
I would leave it, but that's fine.
Okay, we'll leave it.
It's
Okay.
$500.
Okay, it's fine. And we always get, every year, there's this, family that sends us $10,000 to make the payment. Monica advised the other day that she has heard the man who's been doing this all this time is very ill, and that the children are managing things, and said, we're not doing that. So we may lose that 10,000 income that we've had in the past several years to make that payment.
So we'll have to start thinking about making those payments.
So I believe this year they did, give 10, I think it was a little less.
Okay, and I'm betting this next year we're not gonna get it.
So we need to start budgeting.
We were setting up a system to help people that needed help with their water bills.
That's a separate, yeah.
That's something.
I don't see it in the expenses though, like it's in the water expenses.
I have a feeling that would really be general fund. I don't know.
No, we will.
Everything would be interested, so when we help extra revenue category for it, under utilities, but I don't.
Crystal has the accounts. I remember.
I don't see it coming out as an expense.
Where's the revenue?
The
Water
there's
bill
no
is-
money in it, like it says 0. But when we talked about setting,
There should be money.
There should be.
Are we just driving in the customers, do you do a transfer?
I think it's.
So
where is it at? That's what, I just want to know where it's at.
don't think it shows up in the water at all. So what we're doing is, if somebody makes an extra $10 payment, right?
Right.
And so they make a payment of $110. $100 goes to their account, $10 goes to this water customer assistance account.
Oh, is that, okay.
And then if there's another customer who comes in and says, I can't pay my bill, can I do an application for assistance? We then take some of the money that's a negative AR, negative amount in this customer, right?
Right.
We're overpaid all the time,
Right.
and we pay down.
But it just never
So it's
shows up.
still the same as it used to be, that's
Correct.
okay.
But we have one at the park, we have like, I don't know, $200 in there.
For
What
what?
do you guys want me to do with that?
$200 for parks for what?
When somebody pays their water bill,
Donation.
what they can do is they can pay $10.
I don't know, I can't use that money.
$10 bill, the one, because money is there.
I
And
can't
then
do
we
that.
created a ghost customer,
You don't refund.
and the ghost customer has the money.
Like write a check to themselves. That's what it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're gonna have to,
you just put it in the park fund,
you,
right?
you need to take that out of Excel and do something with it. and close that, and then we'll.
Cause you're not allowing people to do.
You can buy more doggy bags.
Yeah, I mean, it could be used. on-
Yeah, we have donations.
Yeah, we just need to like,
Where are you gonna put the donations that people donate in the future though?
They're the part
In a
of the
GL.
revenue.
In the jail instead
Yeah,
of putting
I'll put it in it like in a GL instead of,
But
in a
people
water.
are- But are you gonna keep our donations toward a park specific need, then they we need to make sure that those funds are used for the park.
yeah, we'll create a GL instead of putting it in a water. Because
So
right now,
water
it's
park.
put in a water, like a made up water. Called parks, that's the name. This is the old school way. They did it. You know, it's like
That's why when you started explaining, I'm like, okay.
999.1.
Yeah.
That
They
explains
created
that now.
they created 2 ghost customers, and one's a park and one's the water, and they put those donations into those accounts, and it just creates a balance. And then we take away from that balance, when we pay for somebody's dollars.
And if somebody contributes to the cemetery, we do the same thing.
Well, no, there's a GL for that one.
So we're-
Yeah, for that.
Oh, I knew there was something I forgot to print out. I think this is gonna go for this year's budget, though. Will we do the amended budget at the end of the fiscal year? Candace? We had this agreement with, and you'll have to tell me where this would go. We had this agreement with Ryan Anderson. Ryan paid so there's observation estates. We put that road in, and, Ryan Anderson paid us his share for the roads. It was $190,000 we got from him for that. But when they did that observation estates, there was, the way they did the water and the drain, there was just this pipe sticking out of the ground that stuck over into Zion White Bison. And you could watch water would go into the storm drains and come out, and just a fountain of water was just coming out of this pipe and eroding away this hillside below observation estates, and it was actually owned by Zion White Bison. So we had a meeting with quite a number of people, who came up with this agreement that, Zion White Bison would fix it. And then they would do the repairs, and then we would basically have a 47.53% agreement to refund the money to Zion White Bison. 47% by the town, 53% by, Ryan Anderson. Just got an email yesterday from, Zion White Bison saying, okay, we're all done, we want to be paid. And so I suspect that this will come out of this year's budget, not going to, but since where is that going to end up? Given
For
what,
storm drain,
yeah. It's a storm drain that, he had to fix it, and, we are being granted an easement on top of what he did to drain the stormwater away, that if we ever need to get on there, we have an easement in the town. But, I'm just wondering, where is that, when we do the payment, where is that gonna go in the budget? Because we're gonna be, when we do the amended budget for the end of the year, that's gonna be in there. And I expect that payment's gonna be coming in the next couple of weeks.
so is Ryan's gonna pay White Bison directly and we're gonna pay White Bison directly.
Correct. Just clarify, that's what's supposed to happen. And it was, there was supposed to be $85,000 for the repairs, so we would be paying 47% of that to Zion White Bison. it was stormwater.
I think it's gonna be under miscellaneous charges and services, 1044 610.
Why would it not be under water?
It's not.
Because it's storm, not full here, okay. So 1044 what?
610.
Okay, thank you.
You just had.
Okay, so is everybody okay now with the budget? You have more questions?
I always have more questions, I mean, I've never been
But questions will be all the time.
I just told Misty, this is my fourth budget meeting today.
No way. Oh, I would be like, never mind, I'm not gonna say what I'd be like. So I'm putting this on the budget, I'm putting this on the agenda on Tuesday. That we are going to, vote to adopt this budget and then schedule the final public hearing pursuant to whatever the state code is that says that's what we do. I'll refer to the state code, but I'm just making sure that you guys are gonna be ready to adopt the budget. We'll get Candace to send us an updated one with all the stuff we did today. And, I'm putting it on the agenda for us to adopt. Okay?
For when?
Problem?
On Tuesday?
I just want to say thank you for you and Candace and Leroy for jumping on it when we talked about the problems last time.
Oh, yep.
Thank you for all the hard work.
First, we'll open Candace's documents.
So it's for Tuesday,
Tuesday's the, yes.
but you have to have a public hearing to adopt the budget, that's not 7 days.
That's
Well, all I'm saying is that you'll have to leave it as is with changes
Yes,
as approved by the board meeting, so don't change the document that's for public view.
It's on the public hearing notice, public.
Because they need the document that's been there for 7
Gee,
days.
don't take it out.
Don't take what
Out
out?
of the SharePoint.
But revised.
You took out my public hearing folder, didn't you?
And I put it in the regular hearing, because it's a regular hearing. I mean, it's a regular meeting, we're not having a special meeting for a public hearing. It's not right in there,
You have to
it's not
have,
gone.
we're gonna have another public hearing in June.
okay, so, but you can't approve the budget before the public hearing on the budget.
We are adopting the budget, if the code says,
Yeah.
the code says, the town council adopts a budget and sets a public hearing.
Oh,
Okay, so what we're gonna do is adopt the budget and set the
That's
public hearing.
what I did. I've been calling it the town council. Right now, I've been calling this the mayor's budget.
Okay.
So everybody knows it's the mayor's budget. And then we make our changes, and I call that the town council's budget.
He calls it the town council's budget.
And it's the budget, and then it goes to June for the final approval.
And I told him, no, it's the mayor's budget was approved by the town council.
And I like different names because it's confusing to everybody here, it's more confusing to the public. So if we say town council tentative budget, then they know that we can still make changes at the June here. So it's just a matter of semantics that helps the public. My work, before everybody leaves, so you know, I'm gonna post a lot of the slides I got from, the attendance at the APA up on the SharePoint, so you can take a look at it.
All right.
I took photographs, and I just haven't put them up.
So Crystal, if you look at the regular meeting agenda, I already have these, marked, item 1, item 2, item 3, and that budget is right there as item 1.
Except we're not doing item 3.
What?
Except we're not doing item 3.
Exactly. So we'll
And are
move that.
there anything from planning and zoning?
Yeah, there was a thing in our packet, was
What being in the packet
about the residents. There's an ordinance for the resident side of the residential houses.
Oh, I apologize. We're going to discuss that at the meeting. What's going on is,
That's just for us to review to discuss at our next meeting.
correct.
Okay.
We're gonna discuss it. I want you guys all to look at this and I wanna talk about it at the meeting. It's getting so close to,
July 29th.
yes, it's getting so close and we have yet to get anything from planning commission, so I'm getting worried.
So is that your draft?
No, this is theirs.
Okay.
This is theirs. I want us to look at it so that, because they're gonna have a public hearing at the first of June. And if we look at it and we see stuff that we think should be changed that we don't like, I want us to be able to let planning commission know so that they can, address it when they do their public hearing. They're doing a public hearing, 2 or 3 weeks from now. And I want us to look at it now. I don't want to wait. And then we get this at the end of June, and we've got 30 days to review this, and if we don't like it, then we have to send it, we don't have time to send it back. And so I want us to look at it now and let planning commission know what we think. And so that's what I want us to do. That's how, we're just discussing that on the agenda.
Do you have those changes to go to you, or do you want us to send them to Brian?
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out at the meeting.
I'm doing the agenda on Monday.
Well, you've got the proposed one, it's right there underneath it.
I'm just telling everybody, it's gonna be posted on Monday, so.
So, yeah, hold on just a second.
We're free this weekend. I wanna know, think about it.
Okay, so the appointment of, I can tell you, item 6, which is the appointment of Randy Miller as the emergency manager, I'll probably do that next month. I have been looking at what would be involved and I'm not ready, I will not have something ready by then. So number 3 is going to be moved to the work meeting, the June work meeting for number 3. Oh,
Oh, no, I'll wait till you're done. Follow
then we've got the Water Conservancy District, the loan, the DWQ, personnel manual amendment, adoption of the budget, the resolution for the treasurer, and then I put in here with regard to the emergency manager, the state code. Two pieces of the state code that have to do with emergency managers. And, I just can't decide if we need to do this by ordinance, is it resolution? I looked at other towns and I cannot find anywhere, even though we have an emergency manager, it looks like it's somebody who may possibly have been just hired by their town manager, but I can't find anything in the town codes. I looked and find nothing where they done an ordinance or a resolution adopting an emergency manager, so but they've got a section in there on their website about the emergency manager, what the emergency manager does, but I go to the town code and there's nothing there. I'm like, what?
It doesn't
How
hurt,
would you do this?
doesn't hurt to put it in the town code, but
No.
it could be done by resolution.
Okay, and so I spent some time looking today and I was gonna draft something up and I just haven't done it.
As you can tell, I like things on the town code because then public has access to.
Yes, I understand that. And I don't disagree
No,
with it.
it's
I'm just
just-
saying.
When you're trying to figure out the process.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out the process, what am I gonna say is my whereases and this and that, where's it gonna go? And so, this is why I want somebody who knows how is trained in writing codes.
During the legislative session, they amended the 10-3-818, where the treasurer's address. So a
Okay,
resolution that's drafted,
doesn't comply,
it's, no.
okay, so what does it
So
say?
it references, I think, 10-3-818
I think
3, or 4, sorry, 4. So that subsection 4 doesn't exist anymore. And so that language does.
Yes, in fact, there was something else I was looking at today that I thought, no,
So,
I don't know that those codes exist anymore that was referred to. So you're saying the code I refer to in the resolution no longer exists?
correct.
And it's,
10-3-818 still exists, but the subsection 4 was removed from the state code. Am I wrong about the code number? I
I
don't have it sitting in front of me, so.
103818.
103818, please.
Okay, and then it talks about compensation, elected and statutory officers, compensation increase, definition of executive municipal officer, that's 2A. Then 2B has 1, 2, yeah, there's no section 4.
There's no floor.
Okay, all right. Well, we can fix that.
Yeah. I'm
In
just
the,
like-
in the meeting, we could just,
Okay.
we should be able to just amend that little section in the resolution and make it.
Yeah, well, the whole language was citing state code as well, and so that would need to be.
And I don't see why we can't do that in
Yeah.
the meeting.
So what I was gonna ask, when you were going through your list of stuff, when you mentioned emergency manager, do we have in our budget a stipend for him?
Yes.
Okay, so that's.
Oh, no, yes, we put a stipend in there for him, but I need to talk to Randy and see if what we, budgeted is acceptable, or if he's like, I'm not gonna do it for that.
We can amend it, okay.
Yeah.
And then did we put a stipend in for, probably not for, CIP committee, capital improvements committee?
That's not in there. Okay, so this is 2B. Why is that after the conclusion of government bodies and that, okay. I'll fix it to. Yes, we'll do that.
I just wanted you to be
Yes.
aware, that's all.
Okay.
One thing you and I had talked very briefly about a long time ago, was like digitizing the town's records and hiring somebody to do that, is that still?
I would love to do that.
still a
That's not
possibility?
in the budget, but I would love to get that done.
I think it's really cool, budgeted for that.
We need to find more.
Library
for all this.
We got it, I know, but the thing is, all these records need to be digitized, and I wanted that since the day I walked in the door.
There's a lot of things that the state will do. We went through and they digitized a lot of our records,
Right, but, and I know that they did.
and then they'll even take them and store them.
Right, I know,
So,
but what I want in, I've been to Springdale's office where they have this scanner that's all set up, and every darn piece of paper in that town is scanned, and on the computer, anybody can look at it. It's just, the public can look at it, the town can, it's, every piece of paper is scanned. And I would end up scanning everything in that file. And that's what we're talking about. And all the building permits that are in the 2 filing cabinets upstairs, and
just that
there's so much that needs to be done.
Well, it helps the council too, instead of, the clerk said, hey, can you send me this, can you send me that?
Right.
It's,
So I wanted to hire somebody to do that. I found that the company that has the scanner I would like to use, it's just finding somebody who is willing to come in here and do this absolutely mind-numbing job of scanning papers.
We can always amend the budget too.
And because I even thought about if, I could hire a high school student looking for a job to come in, or an intern, something. I wonder how to proceed with that, but.
Is there someone at the Dixie that's doing their, kind of like your SU,
Internship.
doing their management thing, and that would be informational to learn about all the records and how long?
Yeah, do it.
That's
Our work study
Don't do that folder.
with the
That's
university.
permanent folder. Oh, it is, yeah, that's like, well, you didn't tell me about
Yeah.
because I can only
They
bring
need
it in
to
required.
give their kids work study.
I know, it's not a requirement. I
They
know.
don't have to pay.
They have just been it. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's what's in there?
Still need, even though the budget that is on the state website, public website.
That's fine, but thank you, yeah.
That one doesn't matter.
I appreciate,
I still would like, we want her to give us a new budget,
Yeah.
right? Okay, with stuff that we just talked about tonight, and we'll put it in our folders.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Maybe you could put that in red, things that change it.
I don't know that that's possible with the cell program, I have no idea.
I can print it to PDF and send it to my computer and I can highlight it in Adobe.
Okay. Okay. All right, I was gonna say, I don't think you can do it in the Casella program, okay,
Well, not in Excel, but I can in Adobe. I'll figure it out. I got it. I know how to do it.
okay.
Can I come up Monday too?
Huh?
Can I come Monday too?
You can come anytime.
You
Okay,
want me to make you come out Saturday and?
I mean, if you want, well, I won't be there on Saturday, you can have my key.
so, I will take Marcy, I'm gonna let you make the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I second. All in favor?
That sounds so funny.